Chattergang, a pod about the magic and the gathering. I'm your host, Hope's Beacon, but you can call me Jose. And thank you for being here with us today. If you haven't already, please go like, share, subscribe, share with your friends. This is a really fun podcast. We've had a lot of fun along the way. And today, I say this all the time because all the people I talk to are just amazing people who I consider my friends. And I get to talk to one of my really amazing friends today. You probably know her as Girl with the Green Suit. I know her as Greenie because she lets me call her that as opposed to a girl who happens to have a green suit. Greenie is honestly one of the most informative people as it comes to magic, as it comes to CEDH, as it comes to just about anything that comes to magic. And she's someone that I look up to in this space. And I'm just so excited to get to talk to her a little more today. Greenie, welcome.
Hello! Hi! Thank you. It's super fun to be on here. I like yapping with my buddies. And so
Yeah.
this is a great opportunity to do that and also get some content out because content sometimes is hard, okay? Content can be hard. And I think that a lot of people don't recognize that. But you do good work and you are doing good. And this is gonna be great. This is gonna be great.
Yeah, I can't wait. So this actually leads into something I wanted to start off the pod with you is content, the content creation thing, because you've been doing it for about 3 years now, right? A
Yeah,
little
give or take.
under, yeah, give or take. And it just seems so difficult sometimes, especially being in this space, being someone who tries to play competitively in this space. By tries, I mean does play competitively, by being someone who is very out there with their opinions. How does that how hard is it to do that sometimes?
It can be really difficult. I remember in the earlier days of my career, there were a lot of people, specifically within the CEDH scene, but not necessarily like anybody. It sounds rude to say it. Not anybody important that would ever actually like say like, oh, like women and girls and femmes, they can't play CDH. They don't know anything about that. It was nobody like any of the big players like Max or Ian or anybody like that. They are all delightful. But in the early days of my career, because I was so new to the scene and because I hadn't quite, I would say, developed a thicker skin, there were a lot of people that would kind of attack me for being openly girly. And I love doing my nails and my makeup and my hair, and then also talking about CDH. And a lot of people, that made a lot of people really uncomfortable, especially a couple years ago. In the past couple of years, it's been very different. People have been a lot nicer. You still get every once in a while some doofus who's like, women can't play CDH, and it's like, women don't play CDH against you for other reasons, my friend. I really love to break it to you. You are the problem. But being able to develop a thicker skin has helped a lot. The scene has changed a lot. But yeah, content can absolutely be hard, especially as a woman, as a visibly feminine woman in the CDH space.
Keeps you going? Because I feel like I know for myself, I have such a hard time putting out any kind of content sometimes, especially on my personal page. As it comes to the podcast, I love this. This is amazing. I love talking to my friends and putting out stuff about them. But what keeps you going in doing what you're doing in the magic space and in the content space?
What keeps me going? The joke answer is this is my job, and if I don't keep going, then I lose my job. But honestly, like the real answer, because I could go out and I could get like a retail job, and it would be whatever. The real reason I keep doing what I'm doing is because two things. One, I really love this. I really do love sitting in front of a camera and yapping to people about pauper cards that are good in their commander decks, and I love telling people about different CDH decks. It's something I really do love. But additionally, I really very much remember going to my first Friday Night Magics, my first tournaments, and being the only woman there and feeling very out of place. And that's something that has happened a lot in my life. I live in an area that is, I'm trying to think of the way to say this that isn't gonna like make it sound like I live in like Gilead. There's a lot of traditional gender roles that are emphasized in the spaces where I live. So like when I was a little kid in school, I would go to like the robotics team and I was the only girl there. And the only thing that kept me going was the fact that the coach for the robotics team was a woman. And starting CDH, playing CDH, being the only woman in these spaces, it was really, really hard. And I hated it. And there were a lot of days where I wanted to quit. And I think back now to those days and how much better it would have been if there was a funky little gremlin who liked makeup and also magic who just made short form videos. Like, even that would have made it a lot easier. So I do it for representation and for the normalization of women and femmes in Magic spaces. We deserve to be here. Nerd space is created by women, and I want to remind little girls that like anything a man can do, I can do better. Look at my elo. Don't actually look at my elo, it's ass right now. But like anything you can do, I can do. And I want to show that to people because everyone says it, but you have to show it. So I really just want to like encourage more people, especially more like disabled people, more deaf people, more women, to get into Magic and to not be afraid to be themselves.
And how does it feel being someone who is so prominent in the space as like a figure for that, role model for that? Because I know a lot of people who see you and have seen you and look at you and say like, wow, like I didn't know that people like this played CEDH. I didn't know people like this were so into Magic. I didn't know that it could be fun and cool and pretty and powerful and all the things at the same time. How does it feel being that kind of role model in the space?
Well, first things first, I'm going to break it down to how do you feel as a semi-prominent figure as a role model in the space. I'm going to break it down
Yeah.
to those three parts. One, I don't ever recognize myself as a content creator really of any size larger than relatively small. I don't watch a lot of Magic content for a lot of reasons, one of which is that Magic content is my job and I don't really want to think about my job when I'm not working. That being said, I will always talk to Jose about Magic content because it's fun. But so like I don't really have a good grasp on how prominent I am in the Magic space compared to other people. I think that also plays a little bit into like imposter syndrome. So there's a lot of days where I'm just like I like in the most normal way, I'm just a guy. I'm just a guy and I make videos like on my computer. So it feels very weird when people like recognize me. In terms of being a role model, it's very stressful. It really, really is. I get so many people in my comments, in my DMs. I've gotten emails of people telling me to stop, that it's obvious that I'm doing this like either to like court a man, I guess. Like they think that I make these videos so that I can get a boyfriend. I don't know. So that's really weird that people it's very confirming and it sorry, not confirming, affirming that people appreciate my content and they see me as a role model. At the same time, it's a little bit odd because I'm not going in front of these crowds all of the time. I'm making videos and so there's a little bit of a disparity there. But in this space, there's a lot of love and there's a lot of admiration and people acknowledge my gender and they acknowledge how it impacts the way that I navigate through specifically this space, which is primarily dominated by men and historically has not always been kind to people like me, and they see past it in a lot of ways. They don't I've never once been at a tournament and had somebody make fun of their friend for losing to a deaf disabled feminine woman. I've never once had that. I've had people make fun of their friends for losing to the deck that I play, which is Winota, but being able to be seen as a role model in this space, being what I am, is very powerful. It's a little bit weird. It's very weird, actually.
Yeah.
So,
I think I mean, I look up to you in this space and as a person, you're a very, very good person. And that shows through in your content. But I am glad that you've been at the forefront of trying to help make sure that people aren't I know I watched one of your videos where you sat at a table and someone said, "I've never played with a female before," and the
oh
fallout
my
from that whole
god.
situation. And that's a whole thing, I know. So I
Yeah.
can only imagine how frustrating and I've actually been at a table, or it was online, a spell table, where someone said that to my friend Hannah, and it's like, what the like, what are
Mhm.
you doing? What are
Yeah,
you
no,
doing?
people don't believe it happens. That's the
Yeah,
crazy thing. It's like because it's so absurd. And it's
it
like
is. Yeah.
how disconnected from reality are you? Like don't get me wrong. I know that people don't believe me. I think I have actually shown Jose like some of the emails that I get where it's men trying to pick me up.
Mhm.
Like like nobody's going to believe me. And I acknowledge. I'm like is like, I'm going to swear right here. Like I'm sometimes I'm like is this serious? Like is this real life? Like I understand that most people who have never encountered the sheer absurd levels of misogyny in this gaming space sometimes don't believe it exists. I'm telling you, they're real and they're insane. And it's here's the thing. It's not always the people that are like stereotypically the people that you'd expect. Like I see that a lot is people like think that it's okay that because I received a misogynistic hate comment that they are going to go out and they're going to attack plus size people, people who may have like different intellectual capacities than you, people who may have different disabilities than you or different ability levels. They think it's okay to attack people who might have acne because somebody else said like a slur or a racist comment or a misogynistic comment. That's still not okay, because the vast majority of the shit that I get is from men with Christian bios and their wives in their profile photos. Sorry, I've been holding on to that one for 3 years.
That's okay. No, I appreciate the fact that you're being so real about it, because I can't I cannot myself imagine what that's like, obviously, because I'm not a woman, so I can't I physically cannot. So I appreciate that you feel comfortable enough to express that. I'm sorry that it's something that you've gone through. And again, like I said, and like you said, I've seen it. I've seen what you get from it because you showed me, and I'm just like, I'm not, it's not even a surprise anymore. It's just like,
It's not.
it's why. It's why.
It's
Why
what
are we
flavor
doing
of
this?
crazy is this gonna be?
Yes. What flavor of crazy? Exactly. And it's usually the worst flavor, which is
But
what's your least favorite flavor of ice cream, while I'm asking this? Or not even, it
great
doesn't even have to be
question.
least favorite. Like, what's the flavor of ice cream when someone's like, here's this, you're like,
Man,
mine's
I'm
vanilla.
gonna
Mine's plain vanilla. Not even like, if it's vanilla bean, I can do with it. But if it's just like plain, like, like from the bucket, like, that giant bucket they take to parties, vanilla, I'm just like, okay.
honestly, and this is gonna shock you, I'm not the biggest fan of pistachio ice cream, even though it's
Okay.
green. Because my
Interesting.
dad eats a lot of pistachios and I eat a lot of pistachios. And so it's kind of like if you drink like juice every day, if you drink soda every day, oh, after a while you just kind of get a little bit, you're just like, it's whatever. Because you
Yeah,
have it all the time. So that's me with pistachios. I know they taste
that's
different,
fair.
but in my mind, pistachio is pistachio. So I don't love pistachio ice cream.
That's fair. I think that's fair. So all these pistachio flavored men coming around
Oh,
doing all
yeah.
these things, it's just it's annoying, it's awful. Stop it, honestly. And just treat each other like Magic players, like people, like friends, it's that's
The
okay.
the existence of one person's hate does not inherently require you, a random third party, to meet that level of hate with significantly more hate that is like actually vitriolic. I see
Yeah.
that all of the time where people are like, and like I'm guilty of it too every once in a while, where somebody is like, this is a crazy hate comment I got. And I'm like, give me their give me their username. I
Mm-hmm.
just want to talk. And it's like, no, that's not okay. You
Yeah.
cannot meet this hate with hate. And you especially cannot meet this hate with discrimination against a
No,
marginalized part of their identity. That is
exactly.
never okay. I do not care if they're fat. I do not care if they're intellectually disabled. I do not care if they have acne or if they smell bad or if they are queer or a woman or anything. You do not attack that. You attack the words that they have said and their gameplay because they're ass at the game. You do not ever say you are bad at the game because of your identity. You say you're bad at the game because you choose to focus on bringing others down instead of actually getting good.
That's right. I agree. Yeah, I agree with that wholeheartedly. It's sad. What did Bad Bunny say, or what did his sign say at the Super Bowl? The only way to defeat hate is with love, or the
It's
best way
with
to
love.
defeat hate is love. So, I've seen you do it, where people have come in your comments acting crazy, and you're just like, thanks, I appreciate the comment, and just like leave it at that. Because what do they say? What do they say to that? Like, it's like the when someone says, I'm gonna pray for you. Like, what do you
Yeah.
like?
What do you
You
say
can't.
to that?
Yeah, what do you say to that? Like, you're just like, I know what it means, but
Yeah.
no, go ahead, go ahead.
So no, so I'm trying to like formulate of how I say this, but like I think there is also a market difference between me getting on a like in an argument with somebody. Like if somebody is giving me hate, if somebody is telling me I should quit CDH because I'm a woman or disabled or whatever they want to say, and I shoot back at them, that is very, very different than I shoot back a little snippy reply and then there's like 20 people in his DMs that like are giving him death threats and are like doxing him
Yeah,
and
don't do that to
like that's
people.
so different. Like that is my
Yeah,
fight to fight. If I call on you to fight for me, fight for me. But if I'm not
yeah,
calling on you to fight for me, don't fight.
that's right. I agree. I agree. And I do have a question. This is going to be a slight pivot, not a super pivot, but a slight pivot.
Go for it.
Has anyone ever told you to stop playing CDH because you play Winota?
Yes.
How does that
I
make you
actually
feel?
get pretty regular comments. So, for those of you who are not aware, CEDH primarily is dominated by a meta made up of about 5 decks. right? Like Blue Farm, Roxai, Itali Kinnan, Sisay. Like it's really just kind of 5 decks that you're going to see most at like tournament level.
Mhm.
However, CEDH is more than just the top 5 decks. Some people believe that if a deck is not one of basically like the 5 metas, or like 10 metas, however you want to define it, everyone's different, then it's not a real deck, and that is not actually CEDH and you're playing bracket 4. I get pretty regular comments telling me to stop pretending that I'm playing bracket 5. It's really interesting because none of those people have ever actually beaten me.
Good.
It's really interesting. But, like, in all seriousness, I know that Winota isn't the best deck ever, and that's okay. I don't pretend it is, and I don't play it because it is. I play it because I like Winota. I like the playstyle, I like the game. I know it's not the best, I don't really care. If I wanted to play the best, I would just play Blue Farm. But full offense to Blue Farm players, y'all are terrible.
Full offense,
Um
though.
Full offense to Blue Farm players, I have a personality beyond needing to win a children's card game, so I play the deck that I like. And I don't really care if people tell me that it's
Yeah.
actually bracket 4.
Yeah. Well, and you know what's crazy is your second tournament win ever. You won, or no, you got second with Winota, correct?
So my first tournament, so the way that CEDH kind of breaks it down is you can get a top cut or a top 16, and then you can
Yeah.
get a top 4,
Okay.
and then you can get a win or a topping a
Yeah.
tournament.
So you top
Uh,
four.
I top 4'd. I came in second, and we split the prize pool because it was like 1 a.m. and we were all tired.
That's
So
fair.
points wise, I came in second. I totally could have rocked that pod. But yeah. So I've come in second twice. Both times we split pricing. Both times I'm pretty confident that I could have won.
How did it make you feel in your second tournament ever, being able to top four?
Being able to top 4 in my second tournament, well, I very distinctly remember going up with a bunch of my friends in this big car and talking to them, and we're all saying like, "Oh, I'm sure." Like one of them is named Xander. He's the guy who does Zur on the CDH decklist database. I was talking with Xander, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm not going to make top cut. I'm still brand new player. I'm a baby player, and I'm not playing like a meta deck. I understand that my gameplay is very projected. I'm very heavy on politicking, which isn't necessarily the strongest in terms of strategy. And so, for context, I'm like 5'2". At the time, I was probably like 110 pounds. Xander is well over 6 feet tall and is a mountain climber, so he's quite muscular, he's quite built, right? So he's got some mass to him. When I made top cut, I jumped at him to give him a hug, like out of celebration. He's my friend. I jumped at him to give him a hug, and I almost bowled him over. I was so excited because I never thought I would do it. I had never seen a woman top 16 in Utah, and I'm sure it had happened, but I had never seen it. And it was a really incredible experience. There's a ton of dopamine. I was very stressed being the first Winota to top cut in a couple years,
Mm-hmm.
being one of the first women to top cut in, at least in my area, in a minute, was very stressful. And so being able to make that top 4, it was a lot of dopamine, and it was a lot of stress, and it was also a lot of, I'm surrounded by people that I love, because CEDH is a small community.
Yeah.
And being able to be surrounded by your friends while you're making these great accomplishments and being able to support them as they take down their own wins is a very almost spiritual experience. It's
Yeah.
very emotionally intimate for a lot of people.
Would you say that, because you just talked about it being intimate, and I can definitely understand. Like I've never done one in a tournament, so I can only imagine the euphoria of top anything. But would you still say that it's a small community even now, 3 years later?
I would okay. Yes and no.
Okay.
Like, there's a bajillion Magic players all over the world. I think a relatively small portion of them play CED. But even beyond that, I've only recently gotten into the CEDH community, right? In the past, like, 8 months. So, what I mean by that is that there's people who play CEDH, and then we call them grinders, the CEDH grinders. There's, like, the top 100 players in CEDH on EDH top 16 and, like, top deck and all that. They all know each other and they're all friends. So,
That makes sense.
in
Yeah.
that sense, there is an in community, and it's not like an in community like a clique. Like if like they're gonna talk to you, they're not weirdos. They just they all go to the
They
same
see each
tournament,
other
so
all the
they're
time.
friends.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, it's that kind of thing. But CDH is a relatively small community. I wouldn't say it's quite as insular, but it definitely was for a period of time. It's
Okay.
bigger now, but also the people who were intense have gotten more intense, and the people who weren't as intense have remained not as intense. So simultaneously bigger and smaller.
That makes sense. I think that makes sense. I think I know that I've talk to you a lot about CEDH, and I'm not very well versed. I'm not very good at it. I'm still trying to figure it all out. And I know we've talked about deck builds before, but before I bring that up, I
Mm.
want to step back even further in time and ask you, why don't you say good morning Magic community anymore at the beginning of your videos?
Oh gosh. So I guess that kind of has to get into why I started making content.
Go for it.
I know this isn't video, but I want you to know that Jose has his camera on and has the biggest smile, like the biggest shit-eating grin.
I do. This is very, very true. Because the look on your face was everything in that moment.
Life flashing before my eyes on that one. All right,
Hmm.
so for those of you who have only started watching my content recently, and please don't go back and watch them, dear God. But like, so a long time ago, I started making CEDH content because I wanted to document my progress climbing to be a good CEDH player and climbing to be like I wanted to document my tournaments and I wanted to talk to people and I wanted to talk about my builds and I wanted to talk about meta and meta changes and is this card CEDH? And that was my original plan. And then I topped my second tournament and I went, well,
Here we are.
so my original plan for videos was I wanted to record one whenever I could in the morning before I went to work. I worked at a warehouse that I didn't love, and it was hot and it was gross and it was just it was not a great job. And I would record a video every single day before work. Actually, like you can see me in a couple of videos from back then saying good morning Magic community as I'm sitting on the steps outside of my warehouse. And I don't say it anymore not because I don't want the community to have a good morning, but because like quite literally I'm not recording in the morning anymore. Having been able to make content my full-time job, I'll start recording videos a couple times a week at like 9 a.m. and I'll record until 3 p.m. And it feels a little bit weird internally. It almost feels like I'm lying to people when I say good morning Magic community and I'm recording at like 4 p.m. That feels weird. Additionally, I'm so sorry to get into the gritty of it. The videos started doing a lot less, a lot not as good. The analytics started showing that people were dropping off after they heard the introduction because it wasn't a solid hook. At that time in the Magic community online space, because I did do a little bit of market research back then, having like a set hook or like an introduction that was unique to you that you put at the beginning of a video was kind of the move. And then over time the meta shifted, and over time the content landscape shifted, and I had to change it. But I do miss it, and I do think about it, and I kind of hate you for reminding me of it because that reminds me of a little acne-covered Greenie with crooked teeth trying to make her first videos without a script or knowledge on how to edit a thing. Didn't know how to research, didn't know how to ask, just kind of turned on my camera and would start yapping. My first video ever, I was literally crocheting while I was recording. Like I didn't take it very seriously.
You did not, but you could tell that you were having fun with it.
Yeah.
Also, you mentioned in that video that you said good morning Magic and do you remember?
CDH community.
No, D&D community, if I remember
And DD
correctly.
community. Yeah, so okay, so do you want the story?
I do. I do.
Okay.
I very much do. Yes.
So once upon a time, and I'm not gonna say which location because it's a chain. So once upon a time, there was a chain in Utah, and it's still here, game shops, right? Whole chain of them. And this is a chain that is kind of in the state and in the area, notorious for anything goes. And I didn't have a ton of access to game shops, but I knew that these guys had D&D every Thursday. Yay, that lined up with my schedule.
Perfect. Yeah.
So I'd go to their D&D guild and I played a barbarian and like it was super fun. I was a Goliath and I was having a lot of fun. And then one day, a young gentleman who I was playing CDH with decided to put his hands on a part of my body that he should not have put his hands on.
I'm so
And I
sorry.
turned around and I slapped him so hard I broke his nose.
Good.
Like I'm genuinely lucky that I didn't catch an assault charge. I was ready to kill this man, and I was banned from the game shop. And I don't know if he was banned. I don't know if he was allowed or not. I don't really care. But like they had to pick me up because I was jumping on top of him. They had to pick me up and carry me out of the game shop kicking and screaming because I was so angry. So I don't play D&D anymore. But I
Um,
did. I did for a long, long time. And my favorite class to play is a barbarian, which to people who know what Winota does, it doesn't shock you at all.
yeah, no, not shocking at all. No.
But I love D&D. I have a massive collection of dice. I wish I could play it again. I still have like all of my one-shot D&D sessions saved on my old laptop. Like I love D&D. I am
Oh, wow.
in this nerd space.
Yeah, you are. You very much are, and you very much have been. And so anyone who questions that is just silly, because what the heck? What the
Yeah,
heck?
I had to stop playing D&D because there's not really any places around me that run games other than that one game shop. So
Fair enough.
it's hard.
That is very hard. But it's really hard when you don't have the availability around you. It makes it very difficult to actually be able to do some things. Like some people don't have the availability to go to shops for Magic or whatever. Or there's that
Hmm.
one, like you said, for you, there's that one shop, and they're like, I'm just not doing this anymore because
Hmm.
something happened. So I'm sorry that that happened, but I appreciate you sharing. And as it comes to the rest of your love for Magic,
Hmm.
I have three questions. They're gonna just real quick questions. It's not the portion question thing, but three questions. First question: how do you feel
Hmm.
about Kalia?
I still think it's ass. So there's actually a couple of reasons why I don't like Kalia, and I'll give you two of them, okay? And they're
Okay.
short. I promise they're short.
Okay.
One, I think so when we talk about what a commander is in the
Mhm.
context of CEDH, commanders have to be something very specific, and they have to provide very specific levels of value in order to be considered really competitive. I
Mhm.
think Kalia lacks the tools able to do that. But more than that, I really don't want to talk about it too much, so I'm just gonna say sometimes people who are controversial in the Magic space play certain decks. And sometimes those people who are controversial, when their controversies become public, the deck is associated with them so closely that the deck kind of becomes radioactive. And that
Heard.
happened with Kalia.
Heard. Very much heard. Next question: who is Brian Kibler?
Brian Kibler played in the Pro Tour and he likes to power lift, and I promise we're buddies now.
What happened the first time you met Brian Kibler?
So, once upon a time, I was a little baby Greenie. I still am, I'm only 22. But once upon a time, I was a little baby Greenie, like 19 years old, and I was bebopping my way. It was probably 20, by the way. I was bebopping my way around a local summit called Magic Summit up in Salt Lake City a couple years ago. And I was doing effectively networking, right? I was going around to people. I was walking up. Hi, I'm Girl with the Green Suit. I'm a CDH content creator. I do short form content. I'm one of the first ones in the space. Give me a follow, right? And I walked up to this guy. And keep in mind, I had seen some Magic content, but I wasn't a big consumer of it. And this guy, he looked familiar, but he didn't look the same. So I was like, okay, whatever. And he had long gray hair, and he had big muscles bulging out of his t-shirt. Okay. And I walked up to him and I went, "Hi, my name is Girl with the Green Suit, and you should follow me if you like CDH." Having no idea who this guy is, right? And I go, and I do the thing that I did with everyone, which is, "What's your name? I want to make a human connection. What's your name?" And he said, and he looks at me and he's kind of like bewildered, like, "Is this bitch serious?" And he looks at me and he goes, "My name is Brian." And I go, "Brian?" And I'm kind of like, "You look so familiar." And I think I actually like cocked my head to the side like a dog. Like, "What's your last name?" And he looked at me and he said, "Kibler." And what happened is my face, so I'm very pale, my face turned tomato red. My face fell in my hands and I booked it the opposite direction so fast. Like, I probably, like, from the time he said Kibler to the time I was gone was probably less than a second.
Well, you're
And
friends
then a
now.
few,
That's okay.
yeah, we're kind of buddies now. I wouldn't say we're like friends, but we're buddies. Like, I said
Yeah,
hi
yeah.
to him. He says hi to me. Yeah.
I
But
I
yeah.
just I love that story. Go ahead. Go ahead.
And then the second time was at MagicCon 2024, I believe. Or yeah, 2024, 2024. I walked up to him and I was, "Hi Brian. I don't know if you remember me." But and before I could even say anything, he said, "Do you want a picture with me to prove to people you know who I am this time?" So I got a picture with Brian and Olivia to prove that I know who they are. But
That's
like,
good.
I
That's
don't
good.
know if I'm ever gonna live that one down.
Did you know who Olivia was prior?
No.
No. Okay, so you didn't know either. Okay. So
They've changed. They've changed. People change.
they do. You're right. They very much do. I will say Jason and I both also have Brian Kibler's story. I'll tell it real quick, and then
Yes.
I'll ask my last question. In MagicCon in Chicago, I think it was last year's. Jace and Brian Kibler somehow always ended up in similar spaces and making direct eye contact. Oh, both Chicago's making direct eye contact on multiple occasions to the point where they would see each other and started pointing at each other like, "Hey, it's you, it's you again." So I go to my first MagicCon in Atlanta, and I'm at Shy's table for her meet and greet, and Brian and Olivia are getting ready for their meet and greet behind. Brian turns around and him and I make direct eye contact. He's looking like through my soul. It's like, did you know I know him? Did you know I know Jace? Like, is this what do you just like have these mortal like eye contact things where you just like look into space?
Gibbs has psychic powers. Gibbs has psychic powers. I do believe
He
this.
must. He must. Because it's absolutely ridiculous that he looked me dead in the windows of my soul and was just like, well, A, beautiful man. B, like, what are the odds that Jace has all these stories and then I the first time I see Brian, only time I've seen Brian there, same thing happens. Weird. Brian Kibler, shout out. You're great.
Brian, shout out to Gibbs. He's great. He's super
Yeah,
sweet. He's super nice. He's actually very graceful and gracious. It's
seems
just
like it.
sometimes I'm a little gremlin, and sometimes I get what I deserve. That's all.
Yep. In that case, yep. All right, last quick round question here. What are your
Sure.
feelings on this is a harken back to the beginning before I started
Oh,
this. What is
oh boy.
your feelings on Kinnan?
Kinnan players. So, okay. Kinnan is a meta deck, and it's good for all three reasons because it provides card advantage, mana advantage, and combo potential in the command zone. Kinnan players sniff glue, and I say that because they do what I do as an Ikoria pilot, but a lot better. I'm jealous of them. They're dinky little like, oh look at me, I care about non-humans. Yeah, so do I. Yeah, but I'm in colors that can actually do stuff with win conditions. Genuinely blow me. I hate Kinnan players. And every single one of them is so happy-go-lucky too. They're like, I'm just gonna play my little guy, and it's like it's not a little guy. You played the Hullbreaker horror. Seedborn use. Those aren't little guys.
Your displacer kitten is ruining my life.
It's ruining my life. So,
Why do you also get to play Thrasios? This is ridiculous.
yeah. What other Boros legend am I gonna play in the 99? What? Like Feather?
Yeah.
Don't tell me about an Impacall. It doesn't work. I've tried it. I've tried everything.
And I really want a Nimpacall to work too, but
I want it
you're
to
right.
work, but it doesn't. It just doesn't
It
get there.
shout out Nimpacall. I do intend on making that deck just because I want a million golems, just or
Hell
gnomes.
yeah.
That one's gnomes. I want a million
Gnomes.
gnomes because that just seems hilarious. Just have like a million garden gnomes swinging at people. So you and I have previously talked about making a s- a Simic deck that's non Kinnan. Do you remember this?
A Simic deck that's non-Kinnan. Nadu?
No, not not legal. Okay, first off, legal. Second off, it was Simic Elf Ball.
Right.
I'm still working on it. Don't think I've forgotten about it. I just want to let you know I'm still working on it. But
Hell yeah.
I do know you have the whole thought process that Simic is not CEDH, Kinnan is CEDH.
So when we look at the color pie, we have different strengths of each color, right?
Yeah.
Blue is very good at control, black is very good at tutoring and card draw, blue is also good at card draw, red is very good at speeding things up and acceleration. Green is good for landfall plans, it's also good for things like elf plans, but CEDH is just so fast that green struggles to keep up because it doesn't accelerate itself. It pays into itself and it invests in itself via things like increasing land production, finding lands, putting lands on the field, cradle, but you need to invest in those in order for them to pay off, as opposed to many of the other colors, which is just kind of pure execution. Now, there are mono green decks that, because of the strength in the command zone, is able to make up for that investment. Yisan comes to mind. I know it's not good. Don't at me. It's
Mhm.
fun. But Simic overall lacks a lot of the strengths of the other colors. But more than that, it lacks a cohesive and streamlined win. Like, you have Thrasios lines, yeah, you have Habaha, but like beyond that, there's just not a lot of options. It's the same problem with Boros. It's the same problem with Boros. You have either the setup or the execution, but very rarely do you have both. Kinnan enables you to have both, but Simic is so fun. And we also, I wouldn't say that Simic like inherently isn't CEDH. I would say that Simic currently lacks the tools to make it a real CEDH like powerhouse, if that makes sense.
Makes
Like,
sense.
it can be CEDH, just not right now, because CEDH is
Yeah.
still very much a baby format.
I'm gonna figure this out.
Hell yeah.
I truly believe we can somehow figure out Elf Ball, but in Simic. I don't know what it is. It may just be Elf Ball, but with a blue. With a,
Elf Ball
I'm gonna
with
figure it
like
out.
Thrasios Kodama.
Yeah, something like that. I'll figure it out, one way or the other.
Well,
Oh my God, no, don't put that in. Don't put that in their minds. Don't do that.
Kennen Elf Ball.
That's the last thing
Anyway.
they need. That's the last thing they need. All right, so talk to me about, since we brought up Winota quite a few times, talk to me about the numerous Winota decks that you have.
All right. So let me actually give me a second. I'm on my PC. I am going to open up on my phone my mock field, and I will tell you how many Winota decks I have. It's split across 2 accounts. That's how many I have. So
They said
current,
they said you can't have this many Winota decks. So you said yes, I can.
if I can, 16, 17, 18, plus the ones on the other account. I'm not adding the other account. I probably have 7 on there, so I probably have it's more than that. It's probably closer to 12. Either way, I have like over 20 Winota builds.
Yeah.
Every single one is like unique. So in CDH we have like how many cards different until a deck is unique. For Winota, I typically will say 15
Hmm.
cards before a deck is unique. I have different brackets, I have different play styles, I have different strategies, I have non-beats Winota, I have all humans Winota, I have all non-humans Winota. I do it all. I do it all. I love Winota. So I probably conservative estimate I have 30 Winota decks. I have 3 on me right now, and I'm building a fourth later this week.
Why? I
Why
think that would
Winota or why so many?
why so many? Not why
Why so
Winota.
many?
I mean, actually, for people who may not know, why Winota, and
Okay.
then we'll go why so
So,
many.
yeah, so I'm a disabled woman and I know grown bringing up the identity. Yes, no. It is important to this one, I promise. So, I'm a disabled woman and I walk with a cane. And if you look at Winota's art, I know you didn't notice this before because nobody notices this until I point it out. Go look at Winota right now. She's missing her arm. She's missing her arm. And it's very healing to me to be able to see a disabled woman who is beautiful and who like has her hair done. So I think I like to code Winota as a little bit more feminine, who is strong and powerful and is able to work with things not despite her disability and not because of her disability, but Winota is disabled and also she is powerful. And as a character is very moving to me. It's very near and dear to my heart. So I play a lot of Winota because I like Winota. She's my wife. We're married. As for why do I have 30 lists? So I don't know of anyone else that does this, at least in the CDH space. Maybe there are people do it. I don't know. But anytime where I'm considering making significant upgrades or changes to a deck, I will duplicate it and then alter it. And if that deck is less than, I typically say 15 cards, like I said, if it's less than 15 cards, the original deck list gets deleted and that becomes the updated one.
Hmm.
But if it's more than 15 cards different, and this is key, and the play style and play feel is significantly different, if it's different enough for me to notice how it plays, it becomes a new deck.
Okay.
And if I have a new idea for a strategy, like I've done Winota with breach lines, it doesn't work. Don't try it. But Winota with breach lines, that's a new deck. Okay, Winota with breach lines version 2 with 15, 20, 30 different cards, that's a new deck. So I'm constantly balancing different strategies, but basically anytime I'm updating a deck, if I'm updating it significantly, it becomes a whole new deck. For a lot of reasons, but partially not gonna lie, so I can say I have 30 Winotas.
Hey, you know what? That's okay. I actually understand that. What is there one that in particular that is just above, a head and shoulders above the rest?
In terms of the one that I like to play, it's actually not my Winota list. It's Full Fat Mayos at a $15 budget Winota. I love playing it. It's very weird for brackets. It's technically a bracket too, and yeah, brackets have intention, but you all know what I mean by that. It doesn't have game changers, no mass land denial, no extra turns, no 2 card combos. But it plays more like a 4. And I think it actually plays like a 3, but I've also been a 1 trick for 3 years, so I know how the deck functions and how it runs. So it functions like a 4, and that one's really fun to play. But in terms of like quality of cards, Red Famine, which is the one that's typically linked on my profile unless I'm changing it at the very bottom. Red Famine is a CEDH Winota list that aims to either win turn 2 or 3, or it aims to lock down the board via something like a Magus of the Moon or a Blood Moon effect in order to slowly beat people down while punishing them for using their artifacts. So it's a stacks backup plan with a turbo primary game plan. It runs very few pieces that are dedicated to stopping like specific strategies. It's just kind of like a generic FU. I'm currently working on a new list called Not a Comedian, and it's because the deck is nothing to laugh about. It has no like stacks pieces necessarily. It's pure speed, so it's meant for a much more irresponsible meta. So if your meta is one that feeds a lot of Ristics, that deck is going to generally be more effective. But in most meta applications, I would say that Red Famine is probably the best bet.
How important is it to have a secondary, I guess win con is not the right word, but a secondary method
Strategy?
to strategy, thank you. How important is it to have a second strategy And is it like at most you should have two, or like what's your thought on that?
So when we talk about CEDH game plans and decks, most of the time we're talking about 4 archetypes. Those archetypes are turbo, stacks, mid-range, and control. Control is oftentimes a primary game plan with a backup of stacks or turbo or something else, right? However, if you are running a turbo deck, there's really only 2 things that you can do. You are either going to turbo and you are going to pivot into mid range, which means just like the second you can find a little bit of an opening, you send it and you win anyways. Or you can stacks, which is slowing down other people's game plans. Stacks is basically defined by cards that say your opponents can't or players can't draw an extra card, untap a land, play more than one spell a turn, whatever, right? Those are stacks. So in a deck like, say, an Ad Nauseam deck, that is able to play Ad Nauseam at instant speed, stacks is a lot less important because you got to pick your windows a lot more closely. However, in a turbo deck like Winota, wherein your only window to win is combat and everybody knows it, you have to be very, very careful about what you can allow your opponents to do and not do. Unfortunately, Winota doesn't have the strength of blue in order to protect itself, nor does it have the recursive abilities of black. So, with those lacking, the best chance that Winota has if the turbo game plan fails is to just say opponents can't and then try again. So
Okay.
most of the time it's semi important, but in Winota it's critical.
It's critical. Okay. Would you, for someone who's coming into CEDH, like me, like I'm still finding my
Sure.
bearings. What do you think is the most important aspect to getting into it? What's the most important thing to keep in mind when you're trying to start playing CEDH?
The most important thing that I would say to keep in mind is you have to know the meta decks, but the piece of advice that I would give to every beginner CEDH player from now until the end of time would actually be communication. You have to announce your untap upkeep draw. You have to announce your holding priority. You have to announce your Ristic draws. You have to, have to, have to, have to. It is not a may. Because at the end of the day, if you accidentally didn't announce a Ristic draw, nobody at the table is going to let you take it back. Nobody at the table is going to reasonably allow you to draw your card anyway. Not in a tournament, at least. You need to learn to communicate. You need to learn how to organize your board state. Basically, be clean in your board state, be clean in your language. Be clear, be defined, be clean.
Like,
Otherwise, go on EDH Top 16 and read what the decks are. That way you know what you're up against.
that's fair. Is there a commander that you wish could be or you think should be met in the near future? Yeah. Or could it
In
be fringe meta? Yeah.
fringe meta, I don't really know. Glarb has been putting up results. It's not super meta, but it's super fun. Do you know what Glarb does?
I don't remember offhand. I know I played it against it a few times, but please remind me.
So Glarb is black, green, blue for a frog, wizard, noble, 2/4 with death touch. You may look at the top card of your library at any time. You may play lands and cast spells with mana value 4 or greater from the top of your library. Tap and surveil 2. It does some fun stuff. You know, we're running like creature sacks, we're running a lot of ramp because of the green, we're running sometimes I see control plans with that blue. It's a very interesting deck overall, and I really wish it was more meta. Unfortunately, it's just I don't think it lacks the tools, I think it lacks the tech. I think that there aren't enough weirdos on Glarb who are willing to spend 20 hours a day digging into Scryfall to figure out that one really random common from like Origins that just makes the deck work. They
Fair.
need to find their Shuko, to put it in Navi
Yeah,
terms.
yeah.
They
That
need to
that
find their Shuko.
that's a good way of putting it. They do need to find their Shuko because I feel like there is a way because that
I
deck
feel
is really good. You get to
yeah,
see so many cards. You get to see so many cards. Like there has to be a way.
you
You,
see so much, but it there's like a it feels like if I don't know if you've ever seen a Glarb deck like play, but when you see it play like in a actual game, sometimes when they don't get there, it feels like there's just a piece missing.
yeah.
And I feel like if Glarb gets that piece, I would argue that most 3 color decks would have like a really good run for their money.
Okay, that makes sense. I like Glarb as a whole, so I think I can vibe with that. I like I said, I've played against him a few times. I don't remember everything offhand. I just know it's a lot of look at the top and shenanigans because you know who doesn't like shenanigans, right?
Who doesn't like shenanigans?
Who doesn't like
Glarb's very
shenanigans?
much a shenanigan deck.
Also funny that those are that the one that you wish was meta or fringe meta is completely outside of Winota's colors, not a
Yeah.
matching color in sight. Very interesting. Very interesting.
S-
Dichotomy of Greenie.
Sometimes I get people in my DMs who are like, I'm gonna start playing CEDH and my first deck is gonna be Winota. And just kind of as a general rule, I don't answer most DMs for many reasons, but my first thought is I always want to send back to them, play literally anything else. Winota, like, I love my wife. I love Winota. I will be dedicated to her until the day I die or until they stop making magic. Like, I'm so serious. I love this card. But it's not good. It's not good. It won't be good for a long time. I think we need to have a lot more universes beyond for Winota to be good again because they love printing humans. It's going to take a minute. I think it can be good again, but for now, stick to something that's actually good.
Yeah.
And then you can branch out and play the fun, weird stuff like Winota and Glarb.
Speaking of Universes Beyond, I know you've had some takes on Universes Beyond, mostly that it's not for Magic players, and that it's not inherently a bad thing. Do you still feel that way?
I do. I saw a video recently and I really wish I remembered who said it. I don't, unfortunately. Basically, so I'm gonna break this down. Magic the Gathering is is played by people who like Magic the Gathering, and sometimes they don't really have a ton of other interests. I am one of them. Twilight Secret Lair will never happen, and I've accepted that. But Magic still needs to grow as a game, right? It's a business. It's a company, whatever you want to say, it has to grow. And one of the best ways to grow is to entice people into it. But they've already got the people who want to play Magic playing Magic, so they need to introduce other IPs. And like honestly, I don't hate Wizards of the Coast for making UB at all. Like as a concept, because like my cousins got into it through the Avatar, The Last Airbender, UB. That's awesome. That's awesome. I love to play with them now. I can play with my family. But I think the big problem, and this is what the other creator said, Wizards got too niche too fast. They should have done more generic fantasies. Maybe a Percy Jackson Theros reskin. Like, I don't know. But they should have done bigger and then moved to the more niche retro stuff, the Furbies, the Walking Dead. The Walking Dead as a first Universes Beyond is a terrible decision, and like I will stand on business. That was the worst decisions Wizards could have made. If they had started with Lord of the Rings, I think that the apprehension that we see a lot of got its foundations in that first secret layer, especially with it being mechanically unique. I feel like if they had done Lord of the Rings reskins or just the Lord of the Rings whole set, I feel like a lot of those issues wouldn't be as prominent as they are now because a lot of them got their foundation and got their first teeth with that secret layer. I don't
Yeah.
hate Wizards of the Coast. I don't think it is for Magic players. I think it is for people to be turned into Magic players.
Yeah. I think especially the way they did that secret layer, the fact that they didn't do the end universe forever after that, especially because when they did the Street Fighter, they did the end universe pretty quickly. When they did the Stranger Things, they did the end universe pretty quickly. It took
Mhm.
forever for them to do the one for Walking Dead. So it was definitely like a trial and error type situation, but it was a
Mhm.
really bad trial and a really big error.
Really big errors. They could have made him smaller if they had consulted. I'm so sorry to say this. Anybody with any sort of like foresight.
Yeah. I think that's fair. I think that's fair. But I also do agree that Universes Beyond is not a bad thing. I do think they can slow down a little bit, but that's just with putting out things in general. I'm not even gonna say sets at this point, just putting out things to buy in general. Just
Yeah.
like slow down.
All right, and
But
then
I
I'm gonna
yeah.
let you in on my little theory, right?
All right,
Because
theory.
people have been complaining about Universes Beyond for years, right?
Yeah,
So do you remember Aftermath
I sure do.
and how it was just kind of a train wreck?
Kinda.
Yeah, Aftermath was terrible.
Yeah.
So how many years ago was Aftermath?
Is that 22? No.
It was 2023 or 4.
Yeah. So
So
it feels like longer ago, but yeah, it was yeah,
it was
a few
it
years
was
ago. A
2 or
few
3
years ago
years
now.
ago.
Yeah. Same years it was the
So
same year as Assassin's Creed.
mhm.
So it had to be '04. Yeah, yeah.
So how many years does it take to develop a magic set?
2 to 3 years, is that right?
2 to 3 years. How many years does it take to develop a Universes Beyond set in order to comply with IP?
I think it's IP dependent, but that's still about 4 to is that 4 years?
It's about 4 to 5 years. 4 to 6 is generally what I've heard from
Gotcha.
people on the inside.
Knowledge.
This is not insider knowledge. This is but I like
No,
to feel important. So
you are.
importance aside, 3 to 5 years. So 2 to 4 years versus 3 to 5 years, 5 to 6 years, right?
Yeah.
So we will see, I can almost guarantee it, a drop in Universes Beyond product significantly upon like the 4 to 5 year mark of Aftermath because they saw how terrible Aftermath was. They planned a whole bunch of UB sets to be like Aftermath. They saw Aftermath bomb and they went shit.
Yeah. 23, by the way, 2023.
2023. Yeah, so I imagine that in 2027
Thank you,
we'll
Jace.
start to see a drop off on product of
Okay.
UB. Significant.
That would, I mean, I'd be totally cool with that. I think there's also an issue with Marvel that pending it
Mhm.
like that really is what does Marvel want to do and how do they want to do that? Because
Yeah.
they did the Walking Dead thing with when after they first announced the Marvel sets, right? They put out the secret layer that was mechanically unique. We had
Mhm.
that whole hullabaloo around it. And now we're
Yeah.
finally coming out with the sets. Then again, Spider-Man, God loves Spider-Man. Love Spider-Man so much. I'm
I
pretty sure
love
that was
Spider-Man.
supposed to be very similar to an Aftermath set.
Yeah.
And then they had to put filler in, and that's why we have 9,462,000 spiders and legendaries. And other than Modern Horizons, our first common legendaries. So that's a whole other story. Ninja Turtles did the same thing. There's common
Mhm.
legendaries in Ninja Turtles too. So I mean, like, that's just too many legendaries. That's a separate story for another time. But
Yeah, and
I
I have
hope
my own
I hope you're right.
criticisms on the legendaries,
Yeah.
but
Do you want to talk about it, or do you want to save that for another time?
it's super short. I think that the reason
Oh,
why there's 100 billion legendaries for every character that you've ever met is I'm trying to think of like the nicest way to say this. Magic the Gathering is a population that historically has been very filled with people who enjoy kind of like the weird niche characters. That's not a bad thing. Magic is filled with weird niche characters. I literally am sitting next to a shrine dedicated to what is effectively Magic's version of a Glub Shadow. Like, I get it. I do. But I think that what has happened is Wizards of the Coast has somehow gotten it in their brains that, and maybe this is true, that people are going to want to play their favorite random ass characters as commanders, which is probably true. As a result, they need to make every single character that has a name a legendary so that it can be played. And I think that's a rocky situation. I'm not saying that Wizards is handling it the best way or the worst way. I think they're handling it the best they can. I think it still
yeah.
sucks.
Yeah, and all they're doing is making people say, "I have a Joda that's a bracket too." That's beside the point.
Better than Winota, that's bracket two.
You know what? Yeah, I mean, but that's also because Joda's just stupid,
Joda
stupid
can
good.
grab Winota. Jodas can be
Yeah,
exchanged for Winotas and Joiners of Forces.
look at that, look at that. See, all right. So Greenie, we've we've been talking for a while, and I appreciate you being here. So, not to take up too much more of your day, I am gonna hit you with a few questions. These are gonna be the hardest questions you've ever heard in your entire life. They're really not, but I always say that to everyone just to get a
Okay.
reaction. What besides Winota? What is your favorite
No.
card besides Winota? I know in a world Winota, and then Winota
It's
2, and then Winota 3.
I have a whole binder filled with Winotas. If you ever meet me at a con, ask to see it, I'll show you.
Yeah.
My favorite card, and this is gonna my favorite card is Magus of the Moon.
Really?
I love Magus of the Moon. Are you kidding me? It's so like okay, Blood Moon aside, it's so mechanically unique. It is so cool. Like the imagery of like the art and like oh it's a blood moon and everything is red now and that's cool and the art is cool and the lore is kind of cool and all of the printings are awesome and like on the Duskmourn Magus of the Moon there's like that block of like binary text it says the blood moon rises like it's all and then like the idea of like a Magus of the Moon like the wizard of bringing about blood moons. I want to be a wizard who brings about blood moons. Are you kidding me? That's super cool. So I
You
love
know,
blood moon. I don't play it very often though because I'm not a bad person.
they should have made this is just a side note. They should have made a version of I think her name's Hama in
Yes, with the
Avatar
blood bending.
with the blood bending. They should have made a version of her with red
They
so
should
that
have, or they should have just reprinted Blood Moon or Magus of the Moon to be Hama.
mm,
I would
yeah,
I would
actually
play a
yeah,
Magus of the Moon that's Hama.
a reskin. Yeah, they could have done that. That would have been really really cool.
Wizards of the
Um
Coast, hire me. I promise
yeah.
that if you start reskinning all of your legendary UBs, instead of making them mechanically unique, I promise UB will be more accepted. I promise you.
Yeah, yeah. A shout out to Greenie for these ideas, and
They're free.
I'll just write her coattails along with it. What is
Nah, you're good.
what is your favorite Winota deck? Specifically Winota. What is your favorite one? Not the best one, not the one
Um,
that is, works the best, whatever. What is your favorite one?
it doesn't work at all. I'm so dedicated to making Winota Mill work. I don't
I
know
could see
how
how
it's
that
gonna
does work.
work.
We'll
I
figure
don't
it
know
out.
how it's gonna work, but I want to figure it out because I think so. My first deck was a mill deck, so I really want to make a mill deck with my colors because I'm a
Yeah,
Boros player at heart. So I want to figure it out. Maybe black to the mix, get some Marty Waxen up in there. I don't know.
I like it. I like it. I hope it works someday. I really do
I
because I think that would be
it,
really entertaining.
we'd have to see some pretty weird changes to the color pie, but I really, really hope it'll work someday.
Do you hope they print another version of Winota?
Like another art.
Not of not no, not another art, like another, like, you know how there's like Marchesa and then Queen Marchesa? Do you want there to be another Winota? And if
Yes,
so, what colors?
I think people are gonna hate me. I'm cooking though. People are gonna hate me.
Yeah, you're cooking.
So I think if we ever did a return to Rycoria, you remember how we in Aftermath, and I know it's terrible, we had like Yargle and Multani, Thalia
Hmm.
and the Gitrog monster. Well, there's two really famous bonders on Ikoria, and I think a Sans Black Winota Kinnan deck, like Winota and Kinnan, bonders, bonder savants, or like bonders for life, or I don't know, bonding teachers. And what they do is they give other creatures the ability to like soul bond with non-human creatures.
Ooh.
We'd have to bring back soul bond, and they'll never do that. But like, I think a
No,
Sans
they
Black
won't. Yeah.
deck that soul bonds creatures like non-humans and humans together would be so awesome. I
You
feel
know,
like that would be so awesome.
I will say you say that they'll never bring it back, but there are definitely some things that we thought they would never bring back that they have, even if it's just as a reprint. Like I never thought they'd bring back horsemanship, and then they reprinted
Yeah.
Homeboy. So I
And
mean,
then there's
like,
also Girl in the Fireplace from
yeah,
Doctor Who. Yeah.
yeah. So anything's possible. Anything's possible. All you need is like some UB that has something like, we'll do like Charmed or something. We'll do the Charmed UB. And for some reason, I used to love Charmed as a young youth. So I just
That's
Charmed.
cute.
We'll say Charmed, or like something that has like familiars. So like they're soul bonded, and then you'll have soul bond back. But it'll be like as another name. Like it'll be like, it'll be like familiar or something like that, so it has to be
Yeah.
human and non-human, something like that, so they're not, so like it's not soul bonded, but
You know what they could do? They could call it
hmm.
heart bonding because okay,
Ah,
this is my favorite piece of Winota lore, and you can actually look this up on the wiki right now. I'm not even editing it or like joking or anything. Winota
mhm.
has a last name, and that last name is Heart Bonder.
You know what, heart bonding, that's it. I'm with it.
Heart bonding.
I like it.
So you could call it Winota and Kinnan Heart Bonders. And
I like
it's
that.
sans black, and it does something with adding mana whenever something bonds.
Yeah, I like that actually. You know what, wizards, call Greenie, call Greenie. All right, what is the card that you play most often? I know the answer is Winota, but besides Winota,
Blade
what is the card
Historian.
you oh, Blade Historian is so good.
Blade Historian. Unless you're talking about in like all of my decks, in which case it's
No, doesn't
probably
matter.
swords.
No, it doesn't
Swords
matter.
slash ships?
Blade
Okay.
Historian. Blade Historian's great. I love Blade
Blade
Historian.
Historian. It's a very good card. If you exile it under Chrome Monks, it counts for both colors.
Yeah, because it
Great.
is a hybrid. Love hybrid.
Mm.
And then, what's a card people should play more often, or what's a playstyle people should play more often?
I think people should play control and stacks more often. I think that a lot of the hatred that comes from stacks is not knowing how to play around it and not accepting that, like, yeah, sometimes your deck is going to get shut off, sometimes you're just going to lose in the game of RNG, and that's life. I think that Stacks, as it currently sits, is played by a lot of people who don't know how Stacks is supposed to be played, and as a result, they give it a bad reputation. I think if more like competent and good players, no offense, guys, but like some of your Stacks decks are ouch. I feel like if more competent players picked up Stacks and Control and didn't counter every single thing that that one friend played, and instead countered the actually important pieces to make people have to fight for it a little bit more, it would force people to play more interaction and more removal, and I think it would be overall healthier for the format. Is that ever going to happen? No, but I think it should. I think people should play Stacks and Control more and force people to adapt to it.
I think it will probably give people a bigger appreciation for stacks and control that way, because
Stacks is
then,
hard.
because yeah, I was gonna say, then they understand how difficult it is to actually play it, play around it yourself, and also understanding that, oh, I'm the one who has to make sure everything doesn't pop off all of a sudden. I think that's important. Good shout, Greenie. Good shout. What is a hope or a goal that you have for yourself, for your content, for Wizards of the Coast in the coming years, months, whatever have you?
I'm going to bring my microphone nice and close to me. Mark my words. In the next 365 days from the day that this is posted,
I will have one of those fun test cards that some of the other cool content creators have, like the Misty Step. You know, Misty, they're cool. I want a card like that.
Shout out Emma.
And it's going to be green. Shout out Emma. But like, I want one of those. And in the next 365 days, I'm going to get one.
That's
I'm going
right.
to
You
like,
know what?
I'm
You
gonna like
deserve it.
force them to make one. That's either like Winota's wife or like the green suit or something like that. I'm gonna get one. I'm gonna
I
get
like
one.
that. I hope you do because I think that would be fantastic. And I would let you play it every game we play. I don't care what we're playing. I would just let you play it every game.
Be careful, it might be a Winota reprint.
That's fine. I don't care.
Okay, okay.
I don't care. That's fine. Do you have any other hopes for like Magic the Gathering, the community, anything like that?
I want Magic to turn into a space that I'm trying to think of a way to word this that isn't like insane. I think that Magic's demographics, I really hope that they get younger. Like, guys, we need to wake up to the fact that we are kind of an aging group community and that children are the lifeblood of this community. Like, whether it's bringing your kids, bringing your nephews into the game shop and teaching them how to play Pauper, or whether it's like, kids who are like, you know what, I saw that SpongeBob is in this game and I think that's pretty skibbity riz Ohio whatever, right? Like, we need to accept that there's going that like without younger or young people in this space, the game will die. It will die. And I
Sure.
really hope that Magic as a whole gets a lot more kid friendly, but not necessarily more corporately child friendly. I think we're
Yeah.
doing fine on that front. But I do want us to be like a space where kids can come into the game shop and they can do their homework and they can jam a game or they can buy a pack. That's my hope, is that our community becomes more accepting of children, because I think
I
that kids deserve it.
Yeah. As Randy Watson once said, children are our future. Let them up and
Children
let
are the
them lead the
future.
way. Yeah. And without them, this will just become one of those. This will become baseball. Magic will become
Yes,
baseball.
it will become baseball. And
I
like,
love
yeah, you
baseball.
find some, yeah, baseball's cool, but like it's hard to find a good solid community of people to be like, you know what, let's go watch a baseball game or let's
Yeah.
go open some baseball card packs. Like,
Yeah.
it's hard.
And it's not just that it's hard, it's that even if people do go to baseball, it's probably just a drink. That's what I see a lot around
Hmm.
here, is that when people go to baseball games, it's they're going to the bar to drink. And like there happens to be a baseball game, but it was, hey guys, do you want to do something? Oh, we already work around the stadium. Let's go to the stadium and we can drink at the stadium and then not actually
Hmm.
watch the game. We're just here.
Yeah.
And
And
so it
it's a
makes it
disappointment.
tough. Yeah, exactly. It's a disappointment, and we don't want Magic to become that. We don't want Magic to be the thing that dies out because we didn't accept the fact that it needed to have the kids playing it. That would make me really sad. Honestly, it
And
would make me really, really sad.
I'm about to blow your mind here for a second. If Magic becomes more child friendly, who does it also kind of intrinsically become more friendly towards?
I would probably say marginalized communities, but specifically women.
Moms.
Yeah,
More specific than that,
more
moms.
specifically moms. Yeah,
And
yeah,
that's how you get women into Magic, and that's how you get other people into Magic.
because they're seeing their kids have fun.
They're seeing their kids have fun. They're bringing their kids to the game shop. They go, you know what? I see that there's like, I'm so sorry, bombs. I'm gonna be a little stereotypical for a second. There's like an NCIS pack. Maybe I can pull a Leroy Jethro Gibbs.
You know, there are like five things that if Avatar wouldn't have come out already, there are five things that I would have guessed that Rachel would have gotten into Magic for, and NCIS is one of them.
Yeah.
NCIS is one of them. And but Avatar came out and she's still avidly not going to play Magic. So, but I do think that's a good shot. NCIS. I mean, hey, I like NCIS enough. I would buy it. But I agree with you. Like it. You know what they need to do? They need to. I don't. You're too young to have done this, but back in my day, the Toys R Us's that we had around here, they would have Sunday or Saturday morning gameplay, and it would be mostly just like grade school kids. They should have something like that at some places for Magic, for Magics, where they can learn how to play, they can play with other kids their age. They don't have to have random guy bully them into the ground because this guy doesn't get to win games otherwise. It's just they can have fun with other people their age, and then Magic feels a lot more fun.
Absolutely. And that's actually why I'm going to use my last little bit of time, because it
Yeah,
sounds like we're towards the end, to
yeah.
say, if you can, donate to Magic Kits. They are
Shout
an
out Nat.
organization.
Yeah, I love Nat.
Shout out Nat. But Magic is an organization that takes a bunch, like your old bulk that you're not even playing and is just sitting around and collecting dust, and gives them to kids and teaches them how to play Magic, and it helps them build skills, like social skills. It teaches them like critical thinking and reading and planning ahead. It's so good for their development, and it's so good for them. So if you have extra book or a little bit of extra money, skip a pack, maybe donate to Magic Kids. Think about it,
Yeah.
at least, please. Thank you.
I agree. We had Bones on previously, and we talked about that with Bones too. And I agree. Magic Kids is great. If you go to a Magic Con, they are there. They are willing to teach the children while they're there and talk to you about the mission that they have. And Nat, I believe her handle is Giraffe Nat. She is such a good person with such a good heart for this. She's, as we're recording this, she's at Shoebox with Magic Kids stuff open so that people can come and have their kids play. This is a real big mission for them, and I appreciate that you brought that up because I think Magic Kids is fantastic.
It's on that, but I'm probably gonna like hang around their booth on Saturday at MagicCon Vegas, and I've got this giant green wrestler belt, and I'm gonna let all the kids like hold it and sign it if they want.
I almost want to come to MagicCon just to hold the belt more
Oh, girl,
than
you can
anything.
hold the belt if you want. You can hold the belt
know.
anytime. I'll even send you the belt.
You would, but that costs so much money. I can't imagine how much that would cost to ship.
It's like 6 pounds. It's so heavy.
I cannot. That's going to be like $100 shipping in this economy. But Greenie, thank you so much for being here with us. You were such a treat. You were such a wonderful, spectacular individual, and I'm so happy to know you. Do you have anything that you want to shout out? Things that are coming up? I know you have MagicCon coming up, but any other things that you have coming up that maybe you want to shout out and talk about?
What's the turnaround time on this video?
Probably a couple weeks.
Couple weeks? Okay. MagicCon Vegas is going to be awesome. If you see me there, please say hi. I've got some stuff coming up this summer. It's still in the works. You will hear about it on my channel or through Tough Mulligans, which is a Discord channel that I run where we teach you CEDH, and then we run free tournaments so you can learn, and we have prize support, and it's really cool. Yeah, like come learn CEDH there, and you can get updates on whether or not I'm going to be like at various large CEDH events this summer, because I've been invited to a couple. So
Where can they find you online?
Oh, yeah, so I'm sure Jose will put my like link tree in the bio, whatever, or in the description. Otherwise, you can find me on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube at GirlwiththeGreenSuit. I don't use Twitter anymore, but I guess if you want to look at my old tweets or my new Blue Sky posts, I'm Green Suit Girl over there. And then on Discord, please don't friend request my Discord unless I know you. But like, you can go to Tough Mulligans and we can talk there. That's really cool, and I can teach you CDH. So Tough Mulligans, all the social medias, and also Blue Sky.
And you can, and if you look through all our stuff, you're going to learn a lot about Magic, and maybe even find people being angry that Greenie would suggest things to buy for Magic players for Christmas that aren't Magic cards. I think that's a funny
Oh
video.
my gosh, people were so pressed about it's all junk. I don't like any of this stuff. Okay, well you can use this as a beginning point, my friend.
Yeah,
That's the point.
yeah. It's a thinker. It's a thinker. And if there's one thing Greenie does is make you think, and Greenie's a great time. Greenie, thank you so much. You are wonderful. I love you to death. I'm so happy you were here.
Thank you. I love you so much. You're one of my better friends. You're one of my best friends, even.
Same. And everyone, thank you so much for joining us again. Please make sure to like, subscribe, share, put it out there for your friends to hear, because we have a lot of amazing people who are here, expressing who they are as people and just the goodness in their heart. And if anything else, please just remember, when despair tries to win, counter with hope.